Today we're going to talk about pets. So it's quite an emotive topic. Some of us love them, some of us not so much. Some landlords, we love our own and are very happy to have tenants having in the property. But with the new Renters' Rights Bill, that choice is slightly changing because it is clear that a tenant will be able to request a pet in a property, and the landlord will have a specific amount of time to respond to either say, yes, that's okay to that specific pet, or they can refuse consent, but only if it's reasonable to do so. So there will be lots of detail that emerges around what's reasonable. We do expect at this point, but if your superior lease says that you can't have a pet in a property, it's probably acceptable for the landlord to then not allow their tenant to have one in. But it's going to be a lot around the nature of the property. So, what type of pet depends on what type of property. I suspect there'll be lots of information coming out, and there will be lots of groups that will weigh into what is reasonable and what is not reasonable. And unfortunately, some of that will end up being decided in court situations. So what we will do as agents is make sure that you're protected by making sure that we can evidence that it's reasonable, if it's right to do so, that a pet isn't accepted in a property. But generally, the bill wants to make sure that people have the right to family life, which includes a pet, and that is the aim of the bill. One of the important things to note, though, is that you can insist that a tenant takes out the type of insurance that will cover your property for any damage. And that's very important because you can't charge tenants extra deposits because of the Tenant Fees Act. So this is a way of safeguarding you and your property, but allowing tenants to have those pets in the property if it's reasonable to do so. So one of the things that we are looking to make sure is, can a landlord insist on buying the policy and then recharging it to the tenant? Because one of the concerns we have as agents is if the tenant buys a policy and shows that they have it, they could cancel it at a later stage. So our aim will be to be able to find a fabulous policy for you as landlords and then charge that to the tenant so we can make sure that your property is protected. Thank you.